All right. Apparently, there was some union leader, believe it may have been in New Mexico. Should look it up. In response to President Biden's executive orders, so I'm just going to go over a few things he did that are climate change related. So he wants to create a civilian climate corps initiative, an initiative that will put a new generation of Americans to work conserving and restoring public lands and waters. Okay. I mean, I think you probably need legislative funding behind that. He plans to direct federal agencies to identify new opportunities to spur innovation, commercialization, and deployment of clean energy technologies and infrastructure. I mean, theory sounds good. He canceled the construction of the Keystone Pipeline, which would have created like 50 permanent jobs and a few thousand construction jobs, which, they would have been union jobs. So, of course, there was a bit of backlash to some degree. And a lot of these are this initiative, and he rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. Um, but I mean, a lot of these are good in theory, but he did get some criticism from some of the unions. And I mean, it really does come down to the approach that Democrats, because I definitely do support a Green New Deal. I support, basically, infrastructure projects, a gigantic package that's going to create a lot of jobs, and we can transition away from, dirty energy to clean energy. I certainly um, do favor that approach. The executive order, because there's been no legislative item passed yet. The order aims to freeze new oil and gas leases on public lands and double offshore wind produced energy by 2030. Freeze. So it's going part, not really all the way in, but I don't mind that. I still think that that's not bad, but there is a good criticism whenever it comes to Democrats and basically climate change and really just the left and how they approach it. The Green New Deal, I think, actually specified a better transition away. And usually there is this thing where, and often a lot of left, they cheer this on, like, the executive orders that do, and even against coal miners, there's like this unawareness of how out of touch a lot of people on the left sound, because they really just try to, climate change isn't only, often it isn't based, especially with the more establishment Democrats, isn't just based in just a transition into a new economy. But it's also, to me, based with a lot of people on the left, and like they tie it to morality to some degree, which is really, it's, to be honest, it's kind of off-putting. Where they essentially are like, anything we do that will be destructive towards oil and gas production is by definition good, because that is going to kill, that harms the environment. As if like real people are not involved. Like, as if like whenever you say you want to eradicate essentially someone's current way of living, like they act like, you're like, to some degree, those people are immoral for even like it, because it doesn't mean that they're for the destruction of the country. It just means that they want to have a job. So this whole thing of like I don't even like when some people say you should have an executive order to stop this, and then pair it with something else, and they never even know, they never even have anything descriptive. They just say Green New Deal, bam, and that's it. Quite frankly, you should have something already in progress for the transition to be good. Like this whole notion of like, okay, kill my job and then I'll hope that something in the future is going to replace it, is a pretty jacked up place to be in. And it's usually like some professional managerial class, environmental, leftist, quote unquote activist that's like, yay, and you should be for this too, because your job was horrible to the horrible to the earth. Therefore, if you're against that, then you're for the destruction of the earth. It's like, no, I think they just want some security throughout the transition. You know, have a Green New Deal infrastructure package already in place. Provide some transitional income that people can have throughout the process if you want them to retrain for this new economy. But it is kind of jacked up. And also, some people should just be able to retire early. I mean, you work, 25, 30 years in, coal mines. Really, you want this person to like go back to school, learn to code and wait for a green job? Like that's an easy request, basically from a class of people that work at home. Like that's a simple thing for them because they don't understand like this person used that job to pay for their living. They're used to that income. They have a mortgage, they have a family. They're paying for, their kids' school. So, I mean, I think, yeah, the left is often a little bit too tone deaf about that. And they look at the Green New Deal as an environmental moral thing to do more so than the fact that we are eliminating an industry that currently does employ real people that needs a bit more certainty than the promise of a better tomorrow. That doesn't sell, and, it's easy to say when it's not your job. It's easy to say it's only 50 jobs for a project I don't agree with, but 50 is better than none. And it's only short term construction jobs. If you need a construction job to get you through, then the opportunity of that is still monumental. You're not thinking about 50 years from now what the Earth's going to look like. You're thinking about your immediate needs. So, frankly, yeah, the left is very tone deaf when it comes to that. If you're going to eliminate an industry, have one already there available with more than enough jobs for them and their kids to have something to go into. Or people are just gonna hang on to what they already know and what's already working. And they need to they will believe you if they can see it, as opposed to, you're just saying it'll be there. We just saw a pandemic where a lot of people got left, got just left by the government. Lots of gaps in coverage. There was not much hope. People's faith in the system isn't that high. So they're going to need to see something tangible before, and you can try to shame them to death, but shaming doesn't pay the bill. So, their current job does. So hopefully there is a better